Did you know that California's largest lake is actually a man-made accident? That's right. Nestled in the southeastern corner of the Golden State, the Salton Sea is a testament to the unpredictable outcomes when humans and nature collide. Covering more than 340 square miles, the Salton Sea is no small puddle. It's a vast expanse of water, a shimmering desert mirage that's real, tangible, and filled with a history as layered as the geological strata beneath its surface. But let's rewind to over a century ago, to the year 1905. The Colorado River, a mighty force of nature, was tamed and controlled by a series of irrigation canals, designed to divert water to the growing agricultural lands in the Imperial Valley. But nature, as we all know, doesn't always play by our rules. An unexpected flood broke through the engineered canals, unleashing the river's full potential into the Salton Sink, a dry lake bed that had thirsted for water for hundreds of years. For 2 years, the Colorado River flowed freely, filling the Salton Sink and creating what we now know as the Salton Sea. It was an accident, a miscalculation, a testament to the unpredictable power of nature. But it was also a new beginning, a new opportunity. The Salton Sea, this vast inland sea born of an engineering mishap, began to shape its own destiny. It was a blank canvas on which the dreams of developers, vacationers, and environmentalists alike would be painted in the years to come. An accidental birth, however, was just the beginning of the Salton Sea's intriguing tale. As we delve further into this enigmatic body of water, we'll discover a story of growth and decay, of human ambition and environmental consequences, and of a promising future that could rise from the ashes of its past. But that, dear listener, is a tale for another scene. From a flood-created anomaly, the Salton Sea transformed into an oasis. Carved out by a deluge at the start of the 20th century, this unexpected body of water found itself in Southern California's arid Colorado desert. The Salton Sea was an anomaly, a surprising gift from a capricious climate. The area around the Salton Sea was initially used for agriculture. The fertile soil, fed by the Colorado River's rich silt deposits, was perfect for growing a variety of crops. Farmers flocked to the area, bringing with them dreams of plentiful harvests. The agricultural sector thrived, with the land yielding bountiful produce season after season. The promise of agricultural prosperity drew people to settle, leading to the development of urban areas around the sea. As the population grew, so did the appeal of the Salton Sea as a recreational destination. Its shimmering waters, stretching out under the desert sun, became a beacon for those seeking respite from the bustle of city life. Vacationers were drawn to the area, captivated by its unique blend of desert and sea. The Salton Sea, with its inviting waters and surrounding fertile lands, was a vibrant hub of activity. It was a place where farmers tilled the soil, where families built their homes, and where vacationers flocked for a taste of desert serenity. The area flourished, its progress and growth a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Yet, despite its outward appeal, the Salton Sea was not without its flaws. The lake had no natural outlet, meaning that agricultural runoff, carrying high concentrations of salts, selenium, and fertilizers, would flow into the sea and remain there. This, in turn, set the stage for a series of environmental challenges that would threaten the very existence of the Salton Sea. But beneath the surface, the Salton Sea held a ticking time bomb. Unbeknownst to many, the sea's transformation from an oasis into an environmental concern was already underway, leading to a chapter in its history that would forever change the Salton Sea. A paradise above, a potential disaster below. Such is the paradox of the Salton Sea. This vast body of water, seemingly a haven in the midst of California's arid landscape, conceals a hidden threat. You see, the Salton Sea is not like most lakes. It lacks what we call an outlet. In other words, while water flows into the lake, it doesn't have a natural exit route. The only way water leaves the Salton Sea is through evaporation. Now, that might not seem like a big deal at first glance, but it's this very characteristic that sets the stage for the unfolding disaster. Over the years, the Salton Sea has received a steady influx of agricultural runoff from surrounding farms. This runoff is laden with salts, selenium, and fertilizers, which, in the absence of an outlet, have nowhere to go. So, they accumulate. At first, the consequences were subtle. The composition of the lake began to change. The water became saltier, more alkaline. But nature, in all its resilience, adapted. The Salton Sea flourished as a unique ecosystem, brimming with flora and fauna that thrived in these unusual conditions. Yet the scale was tipping. The salts, the selenium, the fertilizers, they continued to accumulate, unchecked. Over time, the lake's composition shifted from unusual to hostile. The delicate balance of life was disrupted, and the ecosystem began to falter. Suddenly, the Salton Sea was no longer a paradise. It was a ticking time bomb, a potential disaster waiting to explode. The health of the lake, and by extension the health of the surrounding environment, was hanging by a thread. And the worst part? This threat was largely unseen, unnoticed. To the casual observer, the Salton Sea appeared as serene as ever. But beneath the surface, a crisis was brewing. This unseen threat would lead to an ecological catastrophe, and it would serve as a stark reminder of the intricate balance that holds our natural world together. But it would also, unexpectedly, shine a spotlight on the Salton Sea once again, opening the door for hope and redemption. A once thriving ecosystem started to crumble. The Salton Sea, once a vibrant oasis teeming with life, began to show signs of distress. As the water became more toxic due to the accumulation of salts, selenium, and fertilizers, the local wildlife bore the brunt of the damage. Fish species that once thrived in the lake began to dwindle. The Salton Sea, once home to millions of fish, saw a dramatic decline in its aquatic population. Tilapia, the dominant fish species in the lake, struggled to survive in the increasingly saline water. This loss of fish was not only a blow to the lake's biodiversity, but also disrupted the food chain, affecting the bird populations that relied on them for sustenance. The Salton Sea was also a crucial stopover point for migratory birds on the Pacific Flyway. Birds of all kinds, from pelicans to sandpipers, used the lake as a resting and refueling station. But as the fish population declined, so did the bird population. The lake, once a birdwatcher's paradise, became a symbol of ecological distress. But the birds didn't just face a food shortage. The toxins in the water also posed a direct threat to their health. Many birds succumbed to avian botulism and other diseases, further decimating the bird population. These changes didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, painful process that spanned several decades. Amidst this ecological disaster, the Salton Sea, once a popular vacation destination, lost its appeal. The beaches that were once crowded with sunbathers and swimmers were deserted. The stench of decaying fish and the sight of dying birds drove people away. The decline of the Salton Sea was not just an environmental issue, it was a socioeconomic problem as well. As the lake's conditions deteriorated, so did the local economy. Businesses that once thrived on tourism saw a steep decline in their revenue. As the situation worsened, the cost of remediation soared. The price tag for restoring the Salton Sea to its former glory kept mounting, making it a daunting task. But ignoring the problem was not an option. The decline of the Salton Sea was a wake-up call, a reminder of the consequences of our actions on the environment. Just when it seemed all was lost, a glimmer of hope emerged. The Salton Sea, once a symbol of environmental degradation, is now on the brink of a new chapter. A chapter that could be marked by economic vitality, but only if navigated with a sense of responsibility and respect for the environment. In recent years, the Salton Sea has piqued the interest of a new kind of prospector. Not gold, not oil, but lithium. This element, a key component in rechargeable batteries, could potentially fuel a green energy revolution. And guess what? The Salton Sea is sitting on a lithium gold mine, so to speak. But the potential economic gains of lithium mining are not without their own set of challenges. The process of lithium extraction can be environmentally damaging, and if not done ethically, could further exacerbate the already dire conditions of the Salton Sea. The situation begs the question, can we harness the economic potential of lithium without inflicting further harm on the Salton Sea? The answer lies in ethical mining practices. These practices prioritize environmental sustainability and are designed to mitigate the impact of mining operations. They involve careful planning and management of resources, minimizing waste, and restoring the environment post-extraction. The Salton Sea could indeed become a beacon of renewable energy, but this should not come at the cost of its ecological health. We've seen the consequences of neglect and mistreatment. It's time to reimagine the Salton Sea, not just as a source of wealth, but as a vibrant ecosystem that we have the responsibility to protect. The Salton Sea's future now hangs in the balance between economic gain and environmental preservation. Let's ensure that this time around, we make the right choice. The choice that values the health of the planet as much as the promise of profit. After all, what good is prosperity if we don't have a healthy planet to enjoy it on? The Salton Sea's story is a stark reminder of the impact of human actions on nature. We've seen it rise, shine, and decline, all because of our choices. But now, it's time to rectify those choices. It's time to restore. Bioremediation is the key, a process that uses natural organisms to clean up contaminated areas. It's not just a scientific term, it's a call to action. The Salton Sea, with its high concentrations of salts, selenium, and fertilizers, is a daunting challenge, but it's one we can surmount. It starts with each of us taking responsibility. It starts with understanding that our actions, no matter how small, have an impact. It starts with caring for nature as much as we care for ourselves. And it's not just up to individuals. Local communities play a crucial role in this process, educating people about the state of the Salton Sea, organizing cleanup drives, advocating for sustainable practices. These are steps that can bring about a substantial change. Government bodies can't be spectators either. They need to enforce stricter regulations on agricultural runoff and urban development. They need to invest in research and development to find innovative solutions. They need to prioritize the environment over short-term gains. Companies, too, have a role to play. The recent interest in the Salton Sea due to lithium mining is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brings economic benefits, but on the other, it risks further damage to the environment. It's imperative that these companies adopt ethical mining practices. They should put the health of the Salton Sea before profits. The Salton Sea's fate is not yet sealed. We have the power to change its course. We have the power to ensure that future generations witness the beauty of the Salton Sea, not just hear tales of its past glory. With collective action, we can write a new chapter in its history. The Salton Sea can rise again, and this time it can rise sustainably.